So there's two of us here. We're going to talk with you today. I'm Wendy Shapiro, and I am in ITS, Instructional Technology, Academic Computing, and I direct that program, and recently I'm now the Senior Academic Technology Officer. So we're trying to define what that is as we go. So you can help me. And this is Mike Kubit. He's Associate Director of iTech and the Director of Media Vision. And most of you probably know Mike, probably better even than me. He's a recent MBA graduate of the Weatherhead School, what'd you say, last December?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So he's familiar with the program as well as the technology. So this makes an interesting mix. I know quite a few of you, and some are new faces. So it was, what, maybe 3 weeks ago or so. We had a meeting with Lev and Richard and a couple others from the EDM program. And I guess initially, well, the conversation, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is an interest in enhancing, working with some of the current technologies to support the EDM program. Is everybody here from the EDM or? No. Okay, so just translate to your program.
Well, the simple thing was, if we are to ask people, if we're to get access to people from a broader geographic locale, what we call a catchment area, get better students and compete in this environment, we feel we have to make it easier for people to get the degree here and the high quality experience. Easier means fewer round trips to Cleveland, especially for people from Asia and Africa and very distant places. But we don't want to do it at the expense of reducing the face time or the quality of the relationships. So years ago, those of us who worked with the ITN one-way televised system that was done in the basement of Baker, as I recall, it had a very cursory pre-Pong experience. The technology has leaped many generations. Am I speaking to some other group? Oh. So since the technology has leaped, we thought this would be a perfect opportunity to ask the question, how can we use available technologies and some that are about to become available within 40 days at the university to broaden our perspectives and to brainstorm how best to create alternate delivery formats.
Right. Exactly.
And that would be true for all of our programs.
Okay, and that's true. And so what I took away from that, what was very nice, we met with Sherry, Mike and I went and met with Sherry for, I don't know, about an hour and a half, just to get a sense of what the program was and where the real rich spots are that you would never want to sacrifice. And it really did seem that that's what this is all about. You know, how do the technologies help perhaps reduce the amount of time in person, yet keep the quality of the educational experience as high as possible. So that seems to be. Now with that said, then the conversation, and many of you know Lev, so you put Lev and Richard together, that was quite the scene. Yes, we're ready to launch, right? Beam me up for sure. But anyway, the idea was that, you know, could we come in and share with you kind of the entire spectrum of educational technologies that we have here on campus. So from Blackboard, as Richard was saying, beam me up, or Blackboard to Telepresence. Okay, so this is what we're going to show you. I really am not going to do demos here. Mike and I put together this handout, and it's just a very brief description of all the technologies we're going to talk about with a link to the technologies. And I can send this document to whomever, so you just have to click on the link. It makes it, you don't have to type, you know, that makes it easier. And there's only one in there that doesn't have a link, and we'll explain why, because you need iTunes in order to get to it. So I also want to invite, if you have any questions or ideas as we go, just jump in. This is not formal. Let's keep it in a dialogue, okay?
And since we didn't feel there was enough time today to do a demo, if that's something we could actually do in subsequent gatherings if you'd like. So we can come and demo any of the technologies if you're interested.
Right. Okay, so I guess a clicker wouldn't be a bad thing, but we can make it interesting. So we're going to start here with Blackboard. And the reason, I'm not going to dwell too long on Blackboard. This is something I know that Linda Carafa and her team have been working and supporting. Anybody not use Blackboard in here? Everybody's used Blackboard here. But maybe out there they haven't used Blackboard. So very quickly, in a very brief way, Blackboard has been highly adopted across the university, and it is used primarily as a document repository. You put your syllabi in this environment. It's a web-based course management system is what it's called. You could put handouts. So it's very simple then to make sure your students have access to materials. The other very large interest in Blackboard is it's used for a grade book. And faculty like that and students like that because that way they can see their grades quickly and it's private. Those are the two main areas that Blackboard focuses on. Obviously, there's other pieces and parts to it, but I'm not going to dwell on Blackboard.
The one thing I wanted to add is that I have used, at other people's urgings, I've used the threaded discussion boards. And with the 30-year-old MBAs who are used to blogging and stuff, I get quality of discussion and people sharing things through the threaded discussions that they never do in class. So now I, in fact, have made a requirement of 15 entries on the discussions. Well, Mike knows. He was in my class last year where folks were doing it. And I think it helps people because it's asynchronous, and it helps those people who are more introverted or from cultures where they don't speak in class to be able to express their points of view. So I think that's a feature, an asynchronous feature of Blackboard that's very useful.
Okay, and then it also brings out the communication. Just so along those same lines, so that I don't go too quickly, Blackboard also has the ability to have blogging, so where students can keep their own journals, and it's connected to the Blackboard site. And you can have wikis. That's an add-on that's part of Blackboard. So they are trying to become more fully featured. And certainly if you want any support in that way, we're here to help, but certainly you have internal support right here, right now. Okay.
Okay. So Media Vision Courseware is is really the next sort of the evolution of the ITN program that Richard had experienced. So this is a web-based, video-centric course management system is kind of the way to describe it. What does that mean exactly? Well, we have technology that allows us to capture your lecture, encode it, and place it online, as you kind of see as what's rolling on the screen. And in this particular room with 300-person lecture hall, and even some of the content sort of lends itself to more of a lecture format. This gives the students the ability to go back and watch. So if they've had to miss the class, they can go and watch the class. If they need to go review, they can actually review the content as many times. So it really lends itself to sort of an asynchronous model for lecture review. So all the lectures for a semester are archived and searchable. So a student, if they're studying for an exam or just need to go back at the end of the semester and review content, they can search through the content of that semester and review the points in the lecture that topic was discussed.
That requires a videographer to be present?
Currently, yes, but we've actually piloted a system in the School of Engineering that's fully automated, where it's a web interface on the desktop in the room where the faculty member actually starts and stops the recording. No. No, actually, what we're moving towards, with sort of the benefit that you have of high definition, is you could capture like the whole front of a room like this, because it's a 16:9 aspect ratio, and we're just going to capture it as a static shot from the perspective of a student sitting in the last row. And with some of the flash technology that's available, students can actually zoom the camera in and out themselves. So it sort of defers having an operator to where it's fully automated.
213 in Dively, and I thought it was 401 here. I thought we have barcodes, which actually follow the faculty member.
Right. Yeah, that technology exists. It's relatively expensive, and the challenge is it doesn't scale. So part of our charge from LEV is how do we introduce courseware and scale it to where it could be used across the campus. So that's.
Does the faculty member have the opportunity to edit the
Yes.
Videos. So if you said something really embarrassing, you can take it out.
Yes.
We have an example, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind. Their very first Media Vision courseware faculty was Dr. Ocasio. And there was at one point in one of his large chemistry classes, he made a student cry. So we took that out. But there are behind-the-scene tools. What Mike didn't share with you with this is just like Blackboard is a web-based course management system, this is a web-based video-centric course management system. So it has those capabilities like Blackboard. So you can upload documents. We're still working on the gradebook, and it is an in-house production.
Right.
I mean, the whole piece was created here. So and we decided not to demo it here right now, but what's interesting just to keep in mind is that when you teach your classes, and I know that you video a lot of the classes here already, that this is a way, a repository to keep video for students to go back and look at. And just keep that in the back of your mind, because we created it here, we can do adaptations and combinations. And that's where I think maybe we can discover some new possibilities.
Sure. And you can develop a cross-semester archive as well. So if you're further along into the program, you can always go back and review something that you may have learned earlier. There was a question.
Yeah, it says you can search by keywords or key concepts. How do those get coded in here?
Well, currently, yeah, that's an area that we're developing. Right now, it is a manual process, so that those meta tags are actually added manually. We're beginning to do a little bit of development. We've done some experimentation on speech recognition, actually creating a transcript and linking the transcript to the video, so you could actually search through that way. That also offers you the ability to do language translation as well. So once you capture the text, right.
Have a teaching assistant or someone who would be willing to insert keywords and searchable, break it up into modules and things, we can help train that person.
Right.
But it would be great if you could do transcripts and
Right.
full text, basically.
Sure.
Search.
Right, and if you use a lot of PowerPoint, there is character recognition software that will run on the video as well and sort of capture those phrases. And what they do is they would weight them. So if you have a slide up for 10 minutes, those words would be weighted heavier than maybe a slide that was just up for 30 seconds.
One of the issues we face at the MBA is that our students only want one location to go to. They don't want to have to go to Courseware, Blackboard, Xanadu, whatever we use. Do these tie together?
You know what that requires? It requires that we work together. So the answer is yes. The answer is a type of portal. We don't have that right now, but it's not that it's not doable. I mean, ultimately it's just, the idea would be to have enough flexibility that the student says, okay, I want this and this and this and this and this is my page. We don't have that right now. But it's doable.
And we know in Blackboard, or as far as I know, in Blackboard, there's no way to make certain things on Blackboard publicly accessible. Okay, and yet for marketing purposes, and in part because of the Spirit of EDM program, there are things, including perhaps videos, that we might want to make available to anybody who's on the web.
That's a great segue.
Is that something that could be built
Well,
into?
you can even say on this we could do it.
So you could tag certain pieces and say these are publicly, for public consumption.
So there's two answers to that. So currently, Courseware, the way it's set up, it just really requires authentication for the students that are in the class. You can set the authentication that's open to either the university community or to the world. But if there's just select lectures that you want to make available, maybe I'll just jump ahead 2 slides and then we can come back to Connect. We have
Right,
iTunes.
right. Yeah, jump ahead too. To your next piece. Got to jump over
We're
you.
jumping ahead more than that. A couple of them. Okay. So the university has both an iTunes U site as well as a YouTube channel. Those would actually lend themselves to making lectures publicly available. In fact, we have a couple of sites currently on the iTunes, physics site and a couple other classes. Those are actually being viewed and downloaded from folks all over the world. The YouTube site that we launched in the spring, I think we're already approaching 80,000 hits on that site. And we haven't really publicized it very heavily. The campus community sort of knows about it. But public lectures that are on the campus, special events, we have a number of different categories. And in iTunes, if you're familiar with that architecture, you can create albums. So you could have an album for the program or for a class, and you can put the lectures there, and you could either download, subscribe to the podcast, listen to the audio or the video if you so choose.
So if we record a song, we can put it on iTunes?
Yes, you could.
And see if you get any hits. Wait.
Richard, we could create your own album, the best of, and
So, yeah.
I'm sorry I asked the question.
My favorite things.
What's the difference between YouTube and iTunes? Is iTunes just audio?
No, YouTube is predominantly a web-based streaming technology, so you really can't download. Now, you can link to any video that's been in YouTube. So in a PowerPoint presentation on another website, you could actually use that link. And in fact, in the YouTube architecture next to the asset, it gives you the link. So you can cut and paste that into a presentation, and it'll play from YouTube. iTunes, you can download audio or video. So the difference is that you can actually download from iTunes. So you can actually subscribe, and anytime there's a new asset uploaded, next time you sync or you launch your iTunes, it'll download to your application, and then you can put it on your portable device.
You know, one of the things also to realize is that you saw Media Vision Courseware, and what we do is work with faculty for permissions and whatnot, and we certainly have done that here. For the faculty we're working with Media Vision Courseware, with permission, both on audio and video, if the faculty says, yes, it's okay to put it out on the world, that from Media Vision Courseware, the students are put directly into their course into iTunes and can download. They've been asking for that forever. So. Okay, we're going to go back up to Connect. This, one more. Let's go up. Yeah, there we go. Okay, this one I get to talk about. And this Adobe Connect is, we have a site license here on campus. It is a program, and I think this is interesting because we use this for the alumni. We did this for the alumni too because they were interested in this, and it's so perfect. What a perfect picture for this group. But what this is, yeah, looks like it, doesn't it? So what it is, it's an online meeting room. So you can do one-to-one meetings, real time. This is synchronous. This is real time. You can talk to each other. You can type. Actually, and that's part of our team up there. Some of you may know Megan, too. You know Megan? Yeah. So Megan will probably be our support to you. So click the next page. We're going to this is just a video. You can record these meetings, and you can see some of the things that it does while I talk. So you can chat, you can talk, you can share desktops, you can share PowerPoints. Your students, if you're working with them, can share documents they're working on. I know Sherry and I talked about advising, particularly build up the quality of advising when you're not together, the one-on-one meetings. There you can have, now this is interesting, and Mike, you might have to help me with this because I was trying to picture this, but you were also talking about having a large, or a group, like 25 students, and then you have a small part that's a lecture, and then you break into small groups. Well, the way Adobe Connect works, I think it's through the event, you can set up a large group and then have smaller groups as built into it. So you can literally kind of replicate what you do in real life.
This becomes really very important for the EMBA program and the MBA and even the MPOD, because in those programs we do a lot of projects for learning teams or study teams, a little more than the EDM. With EDM, it's more the group advising. But this feature, I think, seems to, the way we're using it in MPOD, works really well with the study groups. or project teams.
Right, right.
Sure.
How
Yeah.
many students how many people can participate at once?
Well, we kind of are at this point. If you're going to have, now here you see we're on, this is like this was the team meeting for when we're putting Adobe Connect up, the Adobe Connect team meeting in Adobe Connect. But we usually say somewhere between 10 and 12 if you're going to have the live video of watching each other drink coffee and whatnot. Typically, once we showed our face, then even on mine there, it's paused because there was really no reason to have the video flowing. You can have much larger groups, though, depending on how you choose to use it. If you could probably break this down further. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I've attended Connect sessions that have had as many as 500 people, participants on it. So it needs to be managed, but
What's a good size for group interaction, though?
for group interaction, probably about 12 to 15.
Yeah.
And there's multiple threads, so you can have the video, so an audio chat. You can have sort of a separate threaded discussion or chat on the side. And you could either use the technology that's built in on the web, or you could actually use a separate phone conference as well. So, because there are some places where bandwidth is limited, or somebody may be in an airport and can't actually attend, but they could attend on their cell phone and still call in.
Talk about the bridge, the phone bridge that we're working on that integrates with.
Right, right. Yeah, and there's right now we're doing a little bit of development work with the phone bridge that would actually tie in. So as the instructor or the moderator, you would actually see everyone that's on the call, both telephone, those are on the telephone, as well as those that may be using IP to be able to do that.
At Adobe Connect, a person could sit at their house if they got a DSL or cable connection or something.
Right,
Yes,
right.
yes. See, there's real advantages, and it's simple. And it's owned by the university.
Right.
So, in fact, if you look on your sheet, it's connect.case.edu. Log in with your username and password. You'll go right in. It creates an account for you.
Yeah, it's open to anyone, right?
And the link underneath that is the tutorial site. So if you really are of that mind, you can try it out and start creating your own meetings. You don't even need us.
Right. This is also a good hybrid tool. So, for example, we've supported several seminars where we've had a live audience and a remote audience as well. In fact, the MPOD seminar that Richard conducted was of that nature.
So basically, you could have a class where you have, say, 50 people, and they're listening, say, to the lecture and asking questions and so forth, and then those 50 people can break apart into 5-person groups.
Exactly.
So you could have 10 groups.
Right.
And then at some point they could
Come back together. There are other tools in here. You can put polling up there. I think maybe up in the right it actually, I don't know if it shows that or not. You can have somebody keeping notes, and the meeting space can stay so that you can come back to that same space again. Everything that you left there is still there. So it can accumulate. And another very nice feature that you just saw here is you can record it. So if somebody can't be there, you can record it, they can go back and watch it. In fact, Adobe Connect right now has a meeting out there on e-portfolios that you just go and watch their meeting. So
the keeping notes part means if someone is designated in a class or whatever to keep notes for that day, anybody at any time can click on and see what goes on.
Oh, it's up there. And you can, it could be a collaborative note-taking. Like, wait, they made a mistake. Let me go in there and fix it. So you could do that.
But that's in real time while this is going on.
That's in real time. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And keep in mind that you can share your desktop with each other, which means you can run any application.
You can share documents. I know one of the challenges we had in a part-time program was writing a paper and doing version control. Now you could basically put your paper here, and everybody can cut and paste their contribution to a master copy.
So anyway, I think given the price and the features and the ease of use, this would be very powerful for you.
So we could have 25 people, and if we develop some sort of protocols to manage the static versus dynamic pictures and who gets to talk when or whatever, we could run this seems like it would do at some point most everything that we need if we needed to, so that people could do it wherever they were, as long as they had a good connection.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a very powerful tool.
Exactly.
And it's just a little bit of technology. It's all HTTP. So there's no issues with firewalls. So sometimes you have with streaming video Like there are corporations that will block access to YouTube so you can't actually watch those video streams. This actually eliminates that because it's a web page. All you need is a web browser.
If you look where I put the hand right now, you don't really need to see the, I mean, you could see the person talking, obviously, if the video of the person is feeding through. But you also have these little controls where if I wanted to talk and I didn't have a video, you could have your hand go up. So the person who's running sees who wants to talk.
My experience with some of the MPOD faculty meetings that we've done on it, and we were in various cities when we did it, is that when it was up to 8 people, you got a pretty good size photograph, streaming photograph on the screen. We hadn't tried it with more than 8 yet, except for the webinars.
Yeah, 12 was about it, because you know where do you need the real estate on the screen? What are you looking at? You know, that's why I say, do we need to see that you're drinking coffee? I don't know.
Those little cameras are how much now? What are they retailing for?
You can buy, it depends on the operating system. If you have a Mac, it's built in. If you have a fairly new MacBook, probably $50, I would say $60 for a web camera.
And we have those recommended on that second link.
And a set of headphones actually would be recommended as well, because the audio is actually more complicated, especially if you're using the IP feature. Phones sort of have echo cancellation built in, but if you have someone with an open laptop and they're just going to talk into the microphone, the audio gets away pretty quickly.
But if you have a relatively new two-year-old Mac or Dell laptop, the cameras that come with it are pretty good, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
They're good.
So it's not like you have to buy another piece.
I'm just thinking if we were to, we were ready to buy a laptop for every MBA student, this would be something else.
Well, buy one that has a camera in it.
Well, they may have cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what?
Our Dells do not.
Your Dells?
Currently do not. Once we have.
But the newer ones, you can choose to get that with the camera. Or there's I don't know, how much was my little camera?
Well, when you jumped to give
That was
it
a little
color,
bit more.
It's probably about $80.
80. It's nice, yeah.
Right.
It's all about the lighting on you too. If the lighting comes this way, you look better.
I also discovered that where you want the camera has to do with which part of your face and your head
Yeah,
you want to feature.
exactly.
It's true.
If you sit too high, you're shooting up, and for some of us that emphasize unattractive parts of them.
Exactly. That's why I like the light this way. No wrinkles this way. Okay, so we're going to go on to the next phase here, because hopefully we have a little time to talk about how we design this for you. Mike went over the iTunes and YouTube. We kind of are doing this like in a continuum or a spectrum. But now video conferencing. Now this is another synchronous tool, and this by itself has a whole array to think about. So it goes from desktop video conferencing, where you're seeing and talking to each other one-on-one, and this is like just seeing and talking, no sharing of anything, to the conference room. And in these ways, there's more people. There tends not to be one-on-one. It may be one-to-many or many-to-many around a table. We use these, I know, for grants when you have to be talking to the granting agency and they're talking back to you. It adds some level of closeness. You feel like you're kind of together. And then finally it goes up to a classroom level, and I know you have a room here that has that capability. I'm not sure how much has been done with the video conferencing in the classroom, but that has been around for a while. I mean, this is where, you know, you can bring an expert into the class through the screen, live, talking to the group, and the students are interacting with this person, or you have class to class communicating with each other. So you can think of it like that. You can think of it as desktop, conference room, classroom. And then you've got to also think about the quality of the video also goes across a whole spectrum, because the smaller capacity, the less the quality, it typically, and Mike knows all the technologies because this happened, you know, they supply all the video conferencing equipment that in the conference rooms the quality is better, and then in some of the classrooms it goes higher, up to the point where we've put out last spring, there was a call for proposals where we were providing high definition video conferencing. We were trying to equip it across the university. So how many of those were put out, Mike?
6.
6 of those, and we're hoping to do that again. So that's a higher capacity.
Well, and the issue, I mean, the significance of high definition is in the immersion. So the fact that the better quality the experience is, then you can actually begin to play off of nonverbal cues, where before with a lower standard quality of video, you may not be able to see someone's facial expression or sort of the look in their eyes when you're trying to communicate with them.
Right. And so let me give the downside that I always felt, and then that will lead right into the upside for the next slide. The downside is, like, I'd sit there, even with the better video, and it's like, they're not looking at me. You know? It's just a little frustrating. You knew they were there, but you just didn't feel all that engaged with them, and that was frustrating.
What I do, on the smaller, if you had 3 or 5 people, thinking about in the EDM program when we're doing the advising, you know, we've got 3 or 4 people, or sometimes a research discussion for a small group. What would be the difference in the experience with the video conferencing versus the Adobe Connect?
On the desktop, not much.
That's a good
actually.
question.
The video conferencing requires software, special software, which can run anywhere from $150 to $200 to do that. Adobe Connect is essentially, it's a web-based application.
And is that software available to us through the software center or not?
Not currently, no.
Oh, you mean this for the desktop video? Yeah. No.
Okay, but Adobe Connect is.
Yes.
Yes.
We don't need.
Adobe
we're
Connect.
We're going to do this with people who are at other universities or at home that don't have the special software. They can still link into Adobe Connect.
Right.
Yes. They don't have to be part of CASE. If you create the meeting, you just send them a link and they hop on.
Right.
So what's the advantage of video conferencing then? It seems like the Adobe Connect dominates it. Oh.
Yeah, if you want a bigger picture, certainly they did high definition surgery, right? That was.
Right, yeah, so there are some disciplines, some applications where the video experience needs to be richer than where Connect is really more focused on the collaborative aspects of it.
Finance would really cut people to the core.
Watch them bleed.
And in Connect, you don't literally, that person doesn't have to have a video to connect in either.
Right.
No.
It just says someone can call in.
Right.
Yes, definitely,
That's true.
definitely.
Yeah. But a hypothetical, let's say that we were running a class session and we had a site here at Case, and then we had a site in New York City and a site in Los Angeles or something like that people would congregate around. They would each have to be specially equipped
That's
correct.
facilities like this, but it shows in the upper left somebody sitting at their own home computer.
Right.
People still could be there on just a normal broadband connection.
That's
You still would require software on your system to be able to do that.
But people who weren't at one of these 3 places could just be sitting at home in front of their PC.
Right. Well, there would be 2 ways. They could dial in as if they were another endpoint, and so they could manage that as another endpoint. Or there are tools now that allow you to actually stream the video conference experience, so that you wouldn't be able to necessarily interact, but you could watch what's happening. And you could use
allow interaction too.
right, right. Okay, which sort of lends us to kind of where we are with sort of state of the art or the cutting edge on video conferencing, which is called Telepresence, and we're actually going to be bringing 2 of these systems and 2 smaller systems onto campus in January. And this really lends itself to what Wendy had said about the actual immersion of that experience, and the fact that, as you see, you have 5 people sitting on this side of the table and you have 4 on the other, and the way that it is set up, the audio is set so that when you hear from the person on your left, that's where the audio is coming from. And when they're looking across the table, your perception is that they're looking at you. So it's incredibly immersive, very realistic, all high definition. You can support text as well. In fact, you can kind of see at the edge of the table there, there's actually a screen, so they're collaborating around a document or a presentation. and really having a full sort of face-to-face conversation. So the concept is that you have those people are sitting around a conference room table together.
And let me just, this is because I love this part. So if you think about the woman on the screen in the left may be in China, and the two in the middle may be in India, and the person on the right may be from Michigan, and you're all sitting around the table together. And like Mike says, everyone will have this experience. I stopped complaining after I saw this.
So the one woman, she has to have a big screen that's filming everybody. She can't see the people in India and Michigan. She can only see the people.
No, she can't. Then she's got those other screens.
Right. So imagine her, Robin, in this position, right? So in her room, she's that one person there. She sees she sees everybody on this side, and then the other individuals as well.
She sees the other three also.
Yeah, for clarification, Robin, she is also in the Telepresence suite.
Right.
This is only Telepresence to Telepresence, right?
That's
Yes.
correct. Yeah, it is a proprietary technology currently.
She's also in a Telepresence suite that it looks like this does, mirror image of this.
So if the woman on the left was sitting there live, she'd see one screen with the two people, one screen with one person, and one screen with 5 people. Okay, that is really cool.
It is cool.
It's
very
inexpensive.
cool. It's very expensive.
But wait 2 years.
Yeah, it's a Cisco. We actually are getting it on campus, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
So far, it's still in the works.
But what do you do for the remote side?
They need to be, so I can explain to you, we're about ready to do a meeting with a fellow in Atlanta and 2 people over in London, and Lev and myself. So we're going to go over to Richfield, where there's one of these right now at a Cisco site. And then in Atlanta, they have to go to a site that has this. And in London, so coordinating everybody to get into these sites is a little tricky right now, because it takes a lot of planning, and then those sites have to be open for you to be able to use. But we're going to do it.
Right. But with many technologies, I mean, this is very early in the life cycle, so it's highly proprietary, and a lot of technologies that roll out kind of have the similar types of opportunities with them.
Yeah. So we're
This is the one that some of us are going to go down to, right?
to Richfield.
Maryland.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. And then we'll have it here, so we can have tours, right?
And depending on how much we are on the budget, we can buy a few.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
There is a
Exactly.
possibility at some point, according to the rep, that first guy that I know, that
The Robert Redford guy.
right, that at some point it will be able to, a telepresence unit will be able to communicate with a non-telepresence,
Right.
a non-Cisco
Okay.
telepresence
Right.
unit.
Right.
So at some point, you will be able to access it from your desktop. It's not going to be the same experience.
Right.
But they will eventually figure out how to do it.
Right.
Well, it's definitely moving. It definitely,
Yeah.
to be able to see it in action means that it's coming in a way
Right.
that we can all consume it.
So we're going to start to see more and more people show up at meetings in their pajamas.
Head up.
Because you can see the pajamas.
Got to go out
Well, that's what I
shopping
mean.
for
People see
pajamas.
them more in their pajamas. Right?
Okay, we have one last thing that Mike convinced me I should put in here, so let me talk about this just a little bit. This is a big project we're doing here at CASE, and I'm calling, on the sheet, I called it virtual reality. Obviously, there's multiple ways to think about virtual reality, but we have a big project going with Second Life, and Second Life is a 3D web-based virtual world that's highly collaborative. Okay, so you're seeing some of the things up here, some of the things that we've done. You come into this space. Linda, were you ever in Second Life? Did you ever do Second Life?
Well, I saw it at the conference.
Okay.
You would have an avatar.
No avatar. Julia has an avatar, Julia Grant, right. Okay, anyway, you create your own avatar, your own little person. I'm Wendy Webb, although I don't think that she's up there in any of the pictures. And then when you come in, now, let me explain this so that you understand that it's not so crazy. If you think about where the web started and it was like just text-based, and then we got links and we got all excited and all this research over hyperlinking, and what it meant for our minds. Right? And then the pictures came, and then the multimedia started coming, And then Web 2.0, the interactivity. So you go to Amazon and you buy and you bank and you do everything online now, all right? But the thing is we still personally are removed. And what this does by creating your avatar, it puts you in the web. You have a presence inside that world. And when you work with it enough, it really is quite extraordinary. So right now we do a partnership with the Cuyahoga County Public Library and the Cleveland Clinic. There was research done through Communication Sciences and the Dental School with these avatars to determine whether the experience in some of the human interaction and interview could be comparable to what they do in the real world. We're going to be working with doctors at the Cleveland Clinic and creating a psychotic avatar. So it's extraordinary.
Well, what strikes me is that you become one of the players on the screen.
Right.
Exactly.
Or you just walk it over.
Yeah.
Really big.
But in this one, no, it's funny you said the psychotic, because I was thinking that this could enhance self-awareness, but it could also enhance psychosis.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, people looking at themselves from out-of-body experiences, you know, is either a real
Reflection.
spiritual high or a real craziness.
Yeah. Well, you know what I was thinking about for the business school is you could have, you know, you do a lot of simulation, immersive simulated case studies that you could set up conditions. People could be actors playing certain roles, and then your students come in and these conditions are set up already. So there's things you could do.
But could you have a class using
Yes,
this?
yes, we actually do that. We have, you can have easily, Molly, you know, I'll know Molly
So you
Berger.
can just
Molly
send your
Berger has,
avatar instead of going to class.
except you have to be connected to your avatar. Yeah, they all come in, they do peer
A virtual
sessions.
puppet.
And then over on the left side, you see Lev over there, we had to have a little presence, a little cameo here. So, but you can stream live video into this world. So what?
And it supports voice chat as well. So
Yeah.
so you could be your avatar in Second Life, but you're actually using the same camera and microphone you'd use for Connect. You could actually talk and you could address your audience. And that audience could be worldwide.
Right. They use it for language.
Here, but maybe somebody has to ask. Maybe I'm not the only one. What is an avatar?
Point to an avatar. Any
Sure.
one of those little characters, those people, are avatars. They're the little you.
What's the significance of it?
Well, it's
Somebody just painted a picture up there, and that's an avatar.
no, because I don't have it live. But you can walk around, you can dance, you can. And I'm gonna have a little video. Actually, the next video might show you something. I have a little video to
My
end this.
avatar's very thin.
Exactly. Mine's very
And 4 inches
tall.
taller.
Exactly. I'm tall and young, right?
I know that,
Male or female?
I know that,
Why do you want to know?
organizations-
Ricky,
Yeah, exactly. Let me.
I know that there are certain organizations like the American Red Cross, et cetera, that have used this Second Life for their campaigns and such.
Right.
So so it doesn't always have to be real time. You could, someone could, say we wanted to have an open house for one of our programs.
Okay.
Is that something that we could do?
You could do it.
And then anybody could go in there at any time?
Yes. Now the only obstacle is that there's a bit of a learning curve because you got to create your avatar. You've got to go through some of the basic. You're right. You've got to go through the training, and then you can get into the site. But I could say in the spring sometime, I think we're going to see some new possibilities. So we won't have so many restrictions. You could actually send out to people
But
coming
you might
in.
be able to accomplish what you want to do on open houses with the video-centric media.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Where people can test what it's like to be in a few classes, see a few things,
It-
and then type in questions.
In fact, that's a great example. We know already that admissions is using a couple of chemistry classes. In fact, when Mike Kenny, the faculty member you saw earlier, actually when he presents to parents, he says you can actually go online and watch some of my courses.
Right.
So it's actually being used as a recruitment tool as well.
Richard is saying it would be more real life than
Oh,
Yeah.
it is
virtual
real.
life.
This is more.
virtual.
Yeah, this is
What I'm
kind
talking about
of
is actually
playful.
video.
Right,
Sure.
It's playful. Although you can, you know, when I was talking about the psychotic avatar, it's actually a psychiatrist that's playing the psychotic avatar. So that when the med students come in, they're interacting with this avatar that has all these problems. And it's being played by somebody who really knows what those problems are.
I teach negotiations, and one of the issues that I've played around with for years is how to do distance negotiations. So the first effort was telephone negotiations.
Okay.
But then you go to more complex negotiation through the internet with, you know, exchanging emails.
Right.
And it's especially interesting where it's kind of a cross between some kind of collegial group trying to make a decision that really is a negotiation. It's multilateral.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm trying to see is how something like this would be.
Well, you know, probably the best is maybe for us to meet, and then we can start brainstorming. You could see what it looks like. I know they're interested in it in bioethics, setting up ethical situations. You can stage it. You can build things, you can script things, and you can create these simulations. So for the negotiation, you could set the stage.
Well, we do use negotiation, simulations for the negotiations, and you know, and a lot of the problem is that the class time is so limited that
Right.
you cannot have a really complex problem. Students just don't have time to do it
Right.
when they're all here together. But I was thinking, I have, for example, a mythical city that's trying to build a baseball stadium. And there are 5 people that have to participate in this.
Huh.
And a 2-hour class is just not enough to deal with it. But then to stretch it out over a week where they have to come back to the next class, then they've lost
The
continuity.
flow, right.
But I was thinking that, you know, if you could give them an assignment like this where in real time they actually could take a break every now and then and agree to come back at a certain time and all of them meet again.
Right.
This way it would be very practical.
Right. And you're talking about a mythical city, and we could build the city.
It's called Mosesburg.
Wait, we got to play the one last video. Hit it, Mike. Got one last video here. He'll come and get it back. Anyway, now you can go. That's it. That's the whole show. Okay, so that's the whole spectrum. Obviously, we have little things inside there, but
That was superb.
Yeah, that was great.
Mike, Wendy, thank you so much. I think that's what, those of us on the EDM task force, that's what we really needed. And I know both the EMBA and the part-time MBA are both wrestling with how to explore residency activities to expand our physical arena where the students are. And it's not always to replace FaceTime. In the EDM case, we're not actually replacing FaceTime. What we're trying to do is facilitate some hot interaction so that we can have the same number of face hours, but not as frequently. So they actually have to fly to campus half the time, but they have the same number of total live face hours. But you can't all of a sudden go, instead of 3 weeks to 6 weeks in between coming to campus, and not lose something unless you have something hot
I see,
in which you interact on an assignment.
Right.
And what we've been playing with the MPods is, because we have 12 weeks in between each residency. And some of us have been trying to have some assignment due every 3 weeks. And we've been using Blackboard to post things and download and all that, even things with audio. These other techniques are going to make it so much more interesting.
Are there other units within the university that are using these technologies?
Definitely. definitely.
You
Well,
wouldn't be in Gimmick,
no, no, well, maybe in negotiation in, you know, that city we're gonna build, but MediaVision Courseware is used, over half the undergraduate population uses MediaVision Courseware. We do extensive assessment, survey, focus groups. We're working with that all the time. It's gone from 0 to over 55 classes. Pete in the back there he is managing the show with MediaVision Courseware.
And ITN and in the engineering school has actually transitioned to this platform as well. So what we're going to do there is add the interactivity.
And alumni is interested in using it to expand out to the alumni population so that they can have a stronger view in, along with iTunes and YouTube. So it's very much being adopted. Adobe Connect is very interesting. This is a relatively new technology, and without a whole lot of hoopla, the word is on the street and people are using it. I mean, the metrics on that are just going up and up and up. So sometimes you really have to promote it, but other times it's just such a good tool. It works. And you could talk about the video conferencing. I don't know as much.
Video conferencing as well. I mean, it's a very mature technology. I mean, the one side of it is you have to have sort of specialized facilities to use it, but it's very reliable right now, and it works very well. And if you have a strong visual experience or the need for that, then it's actually a great technology.
I have a question about group work. Now, it's my understanding that with Adobe Connect, it's only the professor who can start a meeting. Is that correct? Like,
No.
can students go in?
Anybody who has an account here at Case
Anyone,
can start
right?
a meeting.
Anyone with
Okay.
a right.
Oh yeah,
Okay, so
student
they
with a
can go in.
student.
Anyone with a Case ID and password, when they log in the first time, they're set up an account as a host. And when you're a host, you can schedule meetings.
You can have your friends come.
Yes.
But people that aren't can join.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
In fact,
because
when you
you
go
said-
through setting up your meeting, there's like a radial button that says, anyone who has this URL can join.
So Adobe Connect is like GoToMeeting.com.
Yeah, I don't know GoToMeeting.com.
Right.
but I think it's
Essentially,
like that.
functionally, yeah. Or WebEx is another, right?
Unfortunately, we have
Got more
only
to do.
30 minutes for a key meeting
Okay.
right now.
Great.
So
I have some
Thanks for
cards
your
if
time.
anyone wants them. This is very exciting for us too, to support this wonderful program that you have here. So we will, I should say, go out of our way to help you however we can. So feel free to take a card.
Great. Great. Thank you.